Hello, we are live. Welcome, everyone. How are you all doing? Yay! Anna, Candy, Maxine, Monkey, you made it live today. I'm so excited. Cheryl, you're here. Faye, Marina, welcome, everyone. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited. This is day 3 of Awaken Your Inner Healer. So, if you just happen to stumble upon this video, yes, there are 2 other days, day 1 and day 2, that we've already done that you can catch up on. You can simply click on my channel, go find those videos, or if you are signed up for emails, then you have the links in your email. There is going to be a final recap email that is sent out with all of the replay links if you need them. So I've got you covered, no worries at all. And if you have not seen the other 2 days, you're all good to continue or to start with day 3 and then go back and revisit the other ones. So no worries there. On day 1, we talked about the healer archetypes and understanding how the different healer archetypes support you in defining and honing in on your specific healing gifts as well as your specific healer purpose. And then yesterday on day 2, we did an amazing angelic guided meditation, which FYI, if you are signed up for the email notifications, you are going to receive your free download to, I'm clipping out that specific part in the video, adding some music to it and just having its own vibe so that you can revisit that and use that to support you. And in that meditation and in that whole class, really, we talked about the connection with the angels and how that connection and continuing to develop that connection can support you on your journey as you step into your purpose as a healer. And today's day 3. Today, we're going to be talking about overcoming challenges. Very common things that I think every single one of us experiences. And, just in general, I feel like it's just part of the experience of life, these challenges that we go through, these experiences that come up that often hold us back. And so we're going to be talking about how to overcome these fears, these beliefs that hold us back, and how to start trusting more deeply in your gifts and in your purpose, who you're here to be. So I'm going to walk you through that whole process. Make sure that you have a journal or a notebook ready. If you don't, it's okay. The replay will be up. You can come back and revisit and then make notes. But it's going to be powerful because I am going to give you a sneak peek at one of the many lessons that's included inside of the Healer program. But I'm going to walk you through a process that I teach inside of the program itself. So I'm really excited to talk about all of the things. Yay. Hello, everyone joining. Violet, you're here. Yay. Hello, Yolanda. First time. Oh, welcome. I'm so happy that you found your way here. So exciting. So good. Now, as we get started, and as a reminder to everybody, as you're watching this, any questions that come up, any insights, anything that you want to share, feel free to post it in the chat. I am checking in with the chat and answering your comments, answering your questions as best as I can. And for those of you who are watching me on the replay, oh my gosh, I just saw 333, by the way. My little timer, I have a timer thing telling me how long I've been going, and it's 333. So I've been seeing threes all day since a couple days ago. So that was kind of cool. Anyways, for those of you watching me on the replay, feel free to comment your insights, your questions, whatever's coming up for you, your biggest takeaway so far. Would love to hear what has been the biggest takeaway for you so far on this journey. So feel free to post that in the comments below, or for those of you live in the chat. And let's begin. Let's get started. I am so excited for this. So first things first, raise your hand if you have ever experienced any of the following. Feel the fear of or the feelings of just not being worthy, not being good enough, not trusting your gifts or not trusting your intuition, or kind of doubting what came through, being like, was that my ego? Did I just make that up? Was that my imagination? I don't really know. And kind of not really fully stepping into that faith and trust, or having a fear of judgment of what other people might think or say regarding you, regarding your purpose, regarding your work, regarding what you are wanting to put out into the world. I know that for me, like when I went through, when I first stepped into this work, I mean, I've experienced all of these things millions of times throughout the whole journey. I think we all do. And one of the things for me that still remember to this day was so like, it was just like one, those moments that just stand out in your brain and you're like, I'm never going to forget that moment. And I remember when this was at the end of 2016 when I was in meditation and the angels came through and so at that point I was just kind of practicing my connection with the angels, and so the angels had come through, and that was when they said to me, it was Archangel Raphael and Archangel Jophiel specifically, and they had come through and they said, you are here to be an angel channel, you're here to teach about angels, you're a spiritual teacher, you're meant to like support other people connecting with the angels, like this is what you're here to do. And it just like totally caught me off guard because at that point I was thinking that I'm here to be a health coach and a nutritionist. And yeah, I'm going to incorporate spirituality, but not like so hardcore angels and all that. So when that came through, a part of me knew that it was truth. Like a big part of me knew that that was my truth. Like I just felt it. I was like, yes, like that. Oh my God, that's me. Like what? That's what I've been wanting. Are you serious? And at the same time, like duality here, at the same time, I had this immense fear and this big, big fear that was like, but what if I disappoint other people? Like I distinctly remember writing that specifically in my journal where I was like, I'm so afraid of disappointing other people. I'm so afraid that it's not going to be what I think it is, or that I'm not going to be good at what this whole thing is. Like, I don't even know what you guys want me to do right now, but like, I'm so afraid of not being good enough, and I'm so afraid of disappointing other people. Like, that was such a huge thing that I experienced in that moment. And not to mention, the whole thing about, oh, now I have to tell my family and people around me, like, I have to come out of the spiritual closet and be like, hey, like, I channel angels and like I can see them and hear them and all this stuff. Cause at that point, I wasn't sharing this with anybody. I was just in my own world doing my own spiritual practices. And like I was connecting with people online in the online spiritual groups and stuff like that. So I could talk about it with those people, but with the people around me in my actual everyday life, it was like they had no clue. They had no idea. And so I remember just being so afraid. And I remember specifically my really good friend at the time, we were living in different cities. So we would always like email each other and just like updates about life and whatever. And I remember being so afraid. Like I was writing the email to her of just like, hey, like, this is my update about life. By the way, like I've discovered this gift and I channel angels. Like I was so afraid to tell her. And like everyone, I was literally afraid to tell everybody. But like that particular, I was just like, I remember sending the email and being like, oh God, like what's gonna happen? I'm just gonna send this, like she's gonna think I'm super weird and like whatever. And this fear of judgment. And she came back and was like, what? Like, that's super cool. I want to hear more about this, like all these things. And that was one of the things that I realized and recognized as I stepped into my calling was how much of this fear that my ego was projecting of like everyone's going to think that you're weird and no one's going to like you and you're going to fail and blah blah blah, how much that actually wasn't true, and how much it actually was blown up way bigger in my mind than what the actual reality was. The reality was that most people, majority of people were like, what? That's really cool. Like, let me, like, I want to hear more about this. Tell me more about what this experience is for you. And I am curious and, that kind of a thing. And I know that's not necessarily the experience for everybody, but it definitely is something that I think is important to remember that 99.9% of the time, the ego is going to blow up whatever our idea is of the fear or the experience. And it's usually not as bad as we think it's going to be. And that is such a key thing to remember when it comes to like being aware of our ego and being aware of the beliefs and being aware of the stories that we tell ourselves, is that most of the time it's not true. It's not true. Whatever that story is not true. So But regardless of it not being true, it's still an experience that we go through. It's still something that we have to learn how to work through, learn how to come out on the other side in order to fully step in to our calling and into who we're here to be. And so this is what we're going to be talking about today is how to actually do that. And so I'm going to share two key things for you to put into practice. One of them is really regarding identity and what I call identity work, and that's the part that is a huge teaching point. And like I said, I'm pulling it out of a lesson that I teach inside of the Healer program and go in depth with regards to that. But I want to give you the starting points today so that you can get started on it. And like I was saying, since day one of this workshop, my intention with this whole entire workshop is for you at the end of this to feel inspired, to feel motivated, to feel ready to take that next step, whatever that next step might be for you with regards to your calling as a healer. Okay, so that's where we're going today. All right, let me see what you guys are saying. Yes, so much doubt. I say I'm always checking in with discernment. Yes, I have been insecure. Totally. Um, oh my God, I was a health coach and nutritionist before this as well. Oh, that's so cool. I love that. Oh my God, I get that. I'm afraid of judgment, sounding either crazy or too much out there. Sad but true. Yeah, absolutely. And the truth is that not everyone is going to understand. Not everyone is going to get it. Not everyone is going to even agree or whatever. And it's not about making sure that everyone agrees or that they are on board with it, but it's about being empowered enough in your truth that you stand in your truth, even in the face of people not understanding. And one of the biggest things, and I actually literally was just working with a client on this morning, is the ability to be misunderstood. It's like, can I hold that space that not everyone is going to understand me and let go of the need to be understood? And oftentimes it's linked to our childhood experiences where we are misunderstood or people don't take the time to understand us. And so it creates this wound. And now as adults, it's like we overcompensate and we're like, please, like I'm over explaining. I need you to understand me or blah, 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 blah. Or the other pattern that comes up is, oh, like you're not even going to understand. So I'm not even going to bother. Like I'm just going to like whatever. And so it's about how can I be authentic to myself and still stand strong in who I am, even if people are not going to understand me, even if you don't agree with me. And that was a big thing that I learned actually through YouTube when I first started posting on YouTube, which was, I think, towards the end of 2017. So I'd been doing this work for like, I don't know, maybe like 8, 9, 10 months, something like that, because I started at the beginning of 2017. So yeah, it was like the end of 2017. Started posting on YouTube, started posting angel videos. Like you guys have probably seen, my like original Archangel videos, like super old school, little baby Christina. But like I still get comments, but a lot of those videos, a lot of people will be like, oh my God, that was amazing, blah blah blah, this was my experience, whatever. But then every once in a while I get a comment that's like, you're crazy or you're doing this wrong or blah blah blah, like you shouldn't be talking to angels and you're sinning and whatever, like all these things that people say, which is fine. Like that's just their beliefs and that's their truth. But when I first started, like I was taken aback. I was like, whoa, like people are wild. People are wild on the internet. Like these people are just saying these things, and some comments were like rude and mean, and I'm just like, wow, this is insane. And so again, it's that thing about when you show up in your truth, whatever your truth is, it doesn't matter what it is. It could be about, the highest intentions, the purest intentions of light and love. People will still misunderstand it. And so it's being okay with being misunderstood because you know your own heart and you know where you're coming from and you know the mission that you have been called to step into. And that's the biggest key factor here that dissolves those doubts and dissolves those fears. It's not necessarily so much about I have to eliminate every single fear and every single doubt so that I can step into it. It's more so I am going to focus on connecting so deeply with my mission and with my calling, with my purpose, to feel empowered in it, that despite those fears and despite those doubts, I show up anyways. And that's the biggest factor when it comes to overcoming it. It's actually the action that you take. And it's actually about continuously showing up day after day. And yeah, of course, there's gonna be bad days. There's gonna be days where you don't show up, and there's gonna be days where you're like, screw everything and whatever. And we all have those moments, and it's okay to have those moments. But the key thing is the consistency, that over time, over a long period of time, that you are showing up and that you are committed to your mission. So we're going to talk about that, how to actually build that and how to feel empowered by it. Because there's a difference between knowing, or like we've been talking about this whole time, of okay, I know that I have a calling, I can feel it, I know that I'm a healer, I know that there's something more for me, I know that I have this bigger purpose, I'm discovering what that is, right? Like that's what we've been talking about this whole time. And that's great. Like, you know that there's that. But there's a difference between just knowing that and fully embodying it and identifying as the one who is fulfilling that mission, and identifying as the one who is supported, who is guided, who is connected, identifying as the one who was chosen for that mission. And not in a way that's like egocentric or anything like that, but just from a simple standpoint of, you were created by the divine, and the divine created you for a purpose. The divine created you for a mission. That mission was assigned to you by the divine, just like it assigns a mission to all of us. Like, no one is left out. Every single soul out there has a specific mission, has a particular purpose, has a reason why they are here, how they're meant to show up in the expression of truth and love. And so it's just knowing that you were chosen for that. So we're going to talk about the practices of how to actually bring that to life. And, before we get into that, I do want to say that there is, of course, the tools and practices of connecting with the angels, and being guided by the angels, and connecting with the angels to support you with healing and removing, cords, and, whatever deep healing practices that exist that are important and that are powerful. But I do believe that there's more to it than just the energetic part. You have to think of it from a holistic perspective, where there's the soul level healing, there's the mind level healing, and there's body level healing. And these are the three aspects that we talk about in the last three modules of the healer program, because there's a technique and way to address all of those. And when it comes to whatever work you do, I believe that you'll notice that being incorporated in some shape or form, no matter what it is that you do, no matter what transformation you provide people, no matter what the actual mission is that's on your heart. There is this holistic energy that we need to remember, because we can't isolate. We can't just isolate this one thing and think that that's going to be the solution. And the reason why is because we're multidimensional beings. We are a soul, we are a physical body, and we have a mind. So we need to look at it from all angles and all points of view. And that's why I really love, the practices that I teach in the program, is because it shows you that from all the different angles and perspectives. And then you, in your gifts, in your unique purpose, in your unique mission, in your unique way of understanding things, you take all the different pieces and you put them together in its own unique recipe, and voila, you have the transformation that you provide others and that you support other people with, that you created. It's the same thing if you think about anyone. Like, does anyone ever search for recipes on Google and then you find like a million blogs that all have a similar recipe for the same thing but slightly different, and you compare recipes and you're like, oh, this person's using this, and that person is using that. Oh, but they added this different ingredient. Oh, that person has this ingredient. But at the end of the day, they're still writing a blog about whatever recipe, teriyaki chicken or whatever. And so it's like, which recipe is better? Well, there's no one that's better or not. It's about what suits your taste. Maybe this one's a little bit spicier. This one's a little bit sweeter. This is a little bit more tangy. Like, who's to say which one is better? And so it's the same thing with your work as a healer. You are an artist. You are creating something that didn't exist before. That's why your work is so important, and that's why it's needed, because no one has your perspective, no one has your experience, and no one has your brain. And your brain is the one that is taking these different tools and ideas and perspectives and creating its own unique thing to then deliver to the world. That is, of course, guided by spirit, guided by your soul, guided by the divine, but that is then expressed through your voice that it is unique to you. No one can do it like you. That's why it's so powerful to understand that when we let go of this idea that someone has the answer, someone has the particular formula, or someone has this way that is the way to do it. And instead we open up to the fact that we have it. We just need to have the actual ingredients, and then we can create our own thing. That's where the magic happens. That's what the healer program helps you do. So okay, I went off on a little tangent there, but I was talking about the healing practices and how those are important. But and the other thing too is, obviously, as you're going through, working through any beliefs or fears and things like that, compassion is always important. Compassion for yourself, holding yourself in the energy of love, compassionate self acceptance of, it's okay that you're going through this. This doesn't make you wrong. This doesn't make you fall behind. This doesn't make you anything but human. And like, secrets out, we're all human. So there's nothing there that is detrimental. And so it's important to hold ourselves in that energy to be able to fully go through the transmutation process. And the transmutation is where you are taking that particular fear or belief or conditioning and you're transforming it into a different form, into an empowering belief, into love instead of fear, into peace, into joy, into connection, So you're going through the transmutation, but it's hard to do that when you're judging yourself and when you're creating the sense of like shame or guilt, or you're wrong, or you're this or that or whatever. So compassion is always important with regards to the process. And then, of course, having an open mind, and that open-mindedness around, well, what am I here to learn? What is the situation helping me to develop within myself? What is the character that I'm being called to develop within myself as a result of this situation? And you've probably heard this a million times, but it really is about, how is this situation for me? Instead of, this is happening to me, this is happening for me. So help me to see that, because right now I'm not seeing this perspective. So angels, show me, reveal to me how it is happening for me. And having that as kind of like a backbone or like a foundation for you to lean into will greatly support you and provide for you as you continue on this path. Okay. So as we go through this, okay, I'm about to share with you the identity work and like kind of go through step by step the process. But one of the things, like I've been saying throughout all of this, what it's leading you towards is for you to see your own value. Is to see the value that you bring into the world as a result of the gifts, as a result of your perspective, as a result of who you are, that you are valuable because you're you, not because of something that you did, not because of something that you accomplished, but because you are you. So seeing your own value, and then also cultivating the courage to do something different. This whole world, as it is right now, is built upon the idea, the 3D old paradigm idea, that we fall into kind of like a pattern, like a routine, kind of like the same old, the conditioning, the stereotypical, like do this, do that, kind of like, go to school, get a good job, get married, buy a house, have kids, kind of like, like, this is what we need to do. And if you do that, then you're a good person. Or if you do that, then you're successful, right? Like that stereotypical, like, that's what we need to do. Whereas, whether or not that's part of your journey, those particular steps that I highlighted, but really the key is understanding that as a healer, you're going to be thinking outside of the box. That's just part of it, because regardless of what specific archetype you are, you are still leading a new way. You're leading a different approach to what has been conditioned in us for a very, very long time because of your beliefs, because of the connection to spirituality, because of how we approach things, the consciousness is shifting. And this is why I believe that there's such a huge call for healers right now during this time period that we're in, especially in the last several years, is because of the fact that consciousness is shifting. And because of that shift, people are more ready to implement the changes and people are ready for a new way. And so I do believe that in this lifetime, we're going to see a huge shift. We're going to see a huge shift in terms of how people are on this planet. And we can already see it with governments and all sorts of things like beginning to crumble, beginning to be exposed, like all of these things that are happening. And it's because we're going through this huge collective shift and consciousness is rising. And so it is going to ask you to tap into courage within you to do something different, to be different. And so if you think about your role as a healer, your calling as a healer, that you are here to be different, then it's kind of like, okay, then I guess I'm on the right path, you know? And even now, like the lifestyle that I live and like my whole family, my husband and I were both entrepreneurs. So we're not in like a Monday to Friday, 9 to 5 job kind of a thing. And and I think like the life that we live and how we are able to balance life, like family, our kids, like with work and all that, it's so different than what's been conditioned. And I can see that people are still like, what, really? Like you guys do that? Or you're able to like only work 4 hours a day and then spend the rest of the day with your kids. Like that's crazy to me. Like that seems so wild. And it is wild because it's not something that is the typical norm. But the more that we step out in doing something different and pursuing what actually feels right to us and what we actually desire when it comes to our life, when it comes to our work, when it comes to everything that we do, then that's how we lead a new way. That's how we lead a new paradigm. And so, like I said, regardless of which archetype you have this within you because that's just part of what it is to be a healer. You're bringing in this divine spiritual energy through your work. You're more connected than it. We all are more connected than ever before. We're all more attuned to the spiritual energy more than ever before. And so as part of your work, like I said, no matter what you're doing, that is being an influence in how you show up in your expression. Okay. Okay, so I'm going to catch up with comments right now, real quick. And then we're going to talk about identity work. There's two main things that I want you to implement today. One of them is identity work, and then we're going to move on to the second one. Let me just quickly see what you all are saying here. Quickly just browse through the comments. And if there's any questions so far, let me know. Hi, Rebecca from the UK. Yay! So glad you're tuning in. Yes, hopefully you can stay for the full live as well. But I appreciate you joining live regardless, no matter how long you're able to stay. I love it. Kiana saying, oddly crippled and confused by the fear of failure and anxiety around not understanding enough, being confident enough to move on, intuition and science. It's rough. Yeah, I absolutely 1,000% understand that. Absolutely. I'm literally the only one I know in real life that is spiritual in this way. So I have some online friends and community now that I can share with. Yeah. And I think that that's so powerful and it's so important. And I know that for me personally, that was a huge, important piece of my journey too, is the fact that I made online friends and that I connected with online communities that were in this world and that were doing this kind of thing. Because otherwise it's just so lonely and isolating. And as you'll see, I'm going to talk about this in a little bit, but it is important to have that space that's held and to be able to share and express ourselves. Okay. Yeah. Yes, Cheryl, I love it. Not knowing enough to share without feeling unheard. Yeah, that's why I'm here. I love it. I love it. Um, yeah, Violet. Some people are just wild. Yeah. And I don't know where people get the audacity to just be like, you need to do it this way or do it this or that way or whatever. But yeah, it's definitely a real thing. I was a weird kid from the start, never understood by most people anyway, so learned very early to not get affected by anyone else's opinions. Oh, yeah, I love it. And one of the things that I've shared before is that, that feeling of like being the weird kid or not really ever feeling like you fit in is a sign that it's because you're not meant to fit in, because you are meant to lead a different way. Like fitting in, if you think about it, if you fit in, it means that you are like conforming or doing the same thing that everyone else is doing. That's why you fit in. So being the weird one or the one who doesn't fit in is a sign is that you're leading a different way. That's why you don't fit in. And I felt the exact same way my whole life. Is like I've never felt like I quite fit in with like different friend groups or this or that. It's like, having friends, but then also feeling like I don't quite fit in. I'm always thinking in a different way, and like people are not thinking in that way. And I'm just like, don't you guys see this? Don't you understand? And it's like, no, like, why are you thinking about that? So yeah, I absolutely get that. But then we join all the weird, all the weird and misfits come together, and then we all fit in with each other. Like we are here. So it's all good. It's all good. Okay. Oh, Hugo, yay, you're able to join live. That's amazing. Um, Okay, awesome. All right, so let's see. No matter how much protections, healings, clearings, etc., that I do, the unwanted interference is still there, and even trickster type energies, and don't know how else to resolve this issue anymore. I forget. Were you the one who commented on one of the other days, and I talked about um, your environment and kind of being aware of like what you're consuming? Let me know. Violet Train. Is that how I say your name? Let me know. If that's what I remember mentioning that. Okay, yes. Okay, cool. Um yeah, that's definitely something that I feel for sure. And definitely also curious about what kind of if you use any tools also, like meaning like do you use pendulums or tarot cards or like any sort of like divination tools if that's part of your practice. Okay. Tonight, the veils between dimensions are very thin after time for just positivity. Yeah. I think it was yesterday, the moon was so full and so bright, and I had totally forgotten that it was a full moon, but I was just like, oh, wow, that's why the energy right now is so amazing and so powerful. Um, awesome. Faye, yay. I'm so glad. I have never fit in, but I never really want to either. Yeah, exactly. Like I used to want to fit in, like definitely. I feel like in my teenager years, I was like, I'm just trying to fit in and like blah blah blah. But then, as I grew up, I was just like, whatever. I don't care what other people think or say. And it's just like I don't fit in and that's fine. I'm just gonna forge my own way. That's what I'm here to do. All right, so let's talk about identity work. Like I said, this is a lesson. I'm pulling out some things from a lesson within the healer program. And like I mentioned in the later modules, the program is really planned out in a way where you start with the basics and kind of get more advanced, get more advanced, get more advanced as you continue on. So the last 3 modules are really focused on the advanced techniques that I teach you when it comes to healing work, when it comes to working with the angels. Like I said, I shared different examples before, like DNA activation, or past life healing, Akashic records, different things, cutting cords, all these different ways and tools in which you can work with people and support them and support yourself, of course. So, one of the modules is around healing on the mind level. And so, one of the lessons within that module is this identity work that I'm going to share with you today. And so, when it comes to identity work, the whole practice here is understanding and looking at the fact that the biggest kind of leaps that we create in our life when it comes to stepping into our calling, when it comes to, stepping into whatever experience in your life that you desire to have, it comes with identifying with the version of you who is that person. It comes with identifying that this is who I am. Not like one day I'm going to do this thing, or one day I'll be a healer, or one day I'll be, whatever, insert whatever thing one day. And instead, it's that this is who I am right now. Now, the biggest thing here is to understand like the thing that you're being called into, whatever it is that you're being called into, whoever it is that you're being called to become. It's important for you to begin to connect with the energy that that identity holds. And when I say energy, I'm talking about what are the characteristics, like what is that this version of you, what are they doing, how are they showing up in the world, what are their habits, how are they thinking about things, what kind of decisions are they making, what type of energy are they holding, meaning like being courageous or feeling empowered or feeling a deep level of love. Like, what are the qualities? And so that's the first thing that I want you to write down. And you can write this as the question and then take some time to really dig into this and look at this. But what are the qualities of this identity that you're being called to step into? So think about, everything that we've talked about so far. Think about, incorporate the knowledge that you've gained around your healer archetype and how those qualities are included in this identity. But you want to start to think about what are those qualities, okay? What is the identity, and then what are the qualities associated? And again, think of it from the perspective of how you're making decisions. What kind of decisions are you making? What kind of energy you're holding? How you're perceiving things, like what's your perspective on life or other situations. And even if you just stopped right there, like that would be a huge breakthrough, because now that you've identified and I really encourage you to take the time to sit with this and feel into it, meditate on it. Ask the angels. You can call on Archangel Gabriel. You can call on Archangel Michael. I feel both of those angels coming in right now as we're talking about this to support you. And you can ask them. You can say, help me to see or help me to connect with this version of myself. Help me to understand what this aspect of me or this version of me, what are the characteristics, what are the qualities, everything that I just said, to take into consideration. Um, you know, use that as a way to support you and really sit with it and like kind of develop that. And like I said, even if you stop here, it would be huge, because now you can take that connection with that version and say, okay, like let's say there's a particular situation that you're going through right now and you're kind of like feeling stuck. You're like, I don't know how to overcome this, or I don't know how to move past this. And then you think about this version of yourself and you can say, well, how would that version of me look at this? What would that version of me say? What would that version of me do? And kind of start to think of it from that perspective. And for some, this is also very deeply connected to their higher self. So if you've ever done a higher self meditation or any sort of connection with that part of you, then that can also help inform this identity. Okay. So that can help inform. So, as you start to write down kind of like these characteristics and things like that, the next thing that you're going to ask yourself is, what are these specific habits that this version of myself, what habits do they have? So, for example, are they, like implementing some sort of routine or taking some sort of action? Or perhaps they are, going back to the decision thing, they're making decisions in a certain way. So what are the habits that they hold? What are the behaviors? Are they eating something differently or in a different way? Are they, talking to different people? Are they putting themselves out there more? Going to community events? Like, what are the habits? What are the actual behaviors? Because you want to connect what those characteristics are, meaning like what kind of energy you hold of like courage or love or whatever, like those characteristics that I talked about, and connect it to an actual behavior. And the reason why you want to connect to a behavior is because, like I was saying earlier, the biggest shift in terms of moving past fears and moving past doubts is going to be for you to take action. Like, you have to actually move. When you move, one of the things that happens is that you move energy, you're moving that fear, you're moving that doubt, you're moving that, like, there's room for it to shift now and transform because you're moving. Whereas if you're stuck and you're like just there frozen, the fear is just going to be there frozen with you. It doesn't have space, it's not moving, the energy is not moving. So when you are moving, meaning you're taking action and doing things, then that energy has space to breathe and to start to transform. That's how that starts to happen. Okay. So that's the key thing when it comes to taking action. And so the best way to know what kind of action to take is to see, okay, if this version of myself, this identity, this healer identity that I want to step into, if I can identify the characteristics that that version of me holds, and then based on those characteristics, can determine what are the habits, what are the behaviors that align with those characteristics, then I just laid out for myself what my next steps are to start to implement. You've already like laid it out, like, okay, this is the next step right now. And it doesn't necessarily mean that you have to do all the things all at once right now, but it's about looking at, okay, where am I going to start? What's going to be my commitment? And thinking of it as baby step commitments. And the reason why I want you to think of it as baby steps is because there's a much smaller barrier, much less resistance. And when there's less resistance, we're more likely to do it. And when we commit and we follow through with our commitments, we build trust. So if you want to build a deeper sense of trust in yourself and who you are and your intuition, then you have to follow through with your commitments. Follow through with what you said you were going to do. And so like I said, the easiest way to do that is when it's baby commitments. So don't feel like you have to change your whole life right now in order to align with this next version of you. That's not the goal. The goal is simply, let me lay it out. Let me see now how it all connects. And let me see which of these things is the next baby step for me. What feels doable right now? Something that you can implement. And again, it's not like, okay, you go from 0 to 100, but just 3 times a week, once a week, like whatever consistency you can build is the consistency that you need to stick with. It's so when it comes to consistency, I never talk about it in the sense of like X amount of times a week or whatever. It's more so what is consistent for you. For some people, consistency is 3 times a week. For others, consistency is 1 time a week. Regardless, you're still being consistent. It's not about the number. It's not about the quantity. It's about the quality. So that's the key thing that you want to keep in mind here. Okay. Then the next step after this, like I was saying, you're going to, and I kind of mentioned this before, is that you want to start to understand how this version of you is thinking. And so you can start to connect with that part of you because remember, this is all inside of you already. Okay. The potential of who you are as a healer already exists within you. It's already there. Think of it as like a seed. When you plant a seed to grow any sort of plant or any sort of flower, everything that flower needs to be is already in the seed. But if you just looked at the seed and you were like, this isn't a flower, well, yeah, because it hasn't had the time or the space or the environment to grow yet. So it's the same thing for you. You are that healer. You are that version already. It's a seed inside of you. And yeah, if you just looked at, a stranger looked out from the outside in and was like, that's not, that version. But it's because they haven't seen the maturity and the growth yet. And so you are now implementing through this work, you're implementing that nurturing, that growing to happen because now you are aligning your energy, your decisions, your thoughts, your habits, your actions that you take, you're aligning it with that version of you. Because if you've identified that this version of you has this particular habit and you're like, wait a second, I'm not doing that right now. Well, now you know what you need to do. That's the habit that you need to implement right now. Okay. So you're talking to this version of yourself. You're beginning to get to know this version of yourself, like how they're thinking about things, how they're looking at different situations where you might have used to feel disempowered. now you're looking at it from a perspective of, actually, you know what? I can see my power here. I am still in my power, and I can see a different way of looking at this particular situation or whatever the case is. Okay, so you're talking to this version of you. You can do it in meditation. You can do it through journal writing, where you are either tuning in and asking for guidance, or you're just tuning into kind of like, what message do you have for me today? Or what is it that I need to know about the situation today? Kind of like that. And this is where, again, this connection to higher self really comes in, because now you are aligning with this highest version of you. You are aligning with that potential, and you're connecting with it, and you're beginning to embody it and embrace it in your everyday life. And this is the key thing when it comes to identity work, is that you see yourself in that way. You see yourself in the same way that the divine sees you. So if the divine sees you as this fullest potential, which it always does, then as you do this work, you start to see it too. And the more that you start to see it, it ties back to what I said at the beginning, you seeing your value. By you seeing your value, you create this bigger energy that holds your human with all of its fears and all of its beliefs and all of its blah, 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 whatever, like the thing that it holds that can hold us back. But you're creating enough space that it's like, yeah, whatever. Like, you have some of these fears, that's fine. You're a human. It's okay, but there's a bigger energy here now, and you feel more connected to the bigger energy, which means that you can hold those fears, because those fears feel small compared to the bigger energy of power, of truth, of love, of knowing who you are and why you're here. Okay. So every single day, you're going to ask yourself, what action step is important for me to take today? What action step that is aligned with the characteristics, with the habits, with the decisions? What is important for me? What one action step is important for me to take today? And you commit to that. Again, it's about quality over quantity. It's not about spending 5 hours doing this thing or doing this 7 days a week or whatever. It's about, what is that one little baby thing that you can do? And it might be different each day. It might be the same thing every day, but you're tuning in to the divine and to your divine self, your higher self, to guide you in that process. Now, the other thing that I really like to do with this, to combine this, is to write down some I am statements that really resonate. So not just like for the sake of doing I am statements, like I am powerful and I am this and I am that, but just like what really, really, really sparks a feeling inside of you. Like, it evokes this emotion within you. And it could be just one statement, it could be 3, whatever. But you're going to pick a couple of I am statements, like, I am ready. I am ready to be a healer, or I am divinely supported, or I am whatever, like whatever it is that feels really good to you. Okay. Whatever it is that feels really good to you. And then combine that with tapping. And the reason why tapping is powerful is because now you're bringing in your body into the equation. Because remember, your body holds your nervous system. Your nervous system is connected to your state of being. So if your energy is constantly in anxiety and worry and whatever, your nervous system is going to respond to that. Whereas if you start to bring your energy into a state of, I am worthy, or I am ready, or I am capable, or whatever other thing that you come up with that feels really good to you, and you start to tap. And when I teach tapping, I teach it just from the perspective of really being intuitively guided. So if you feel called to tap on your heart space, then tap on your heart space. If you feel guided to tap on your cheeks and kind of move up around your head and go like this and do this, like, that's beautiful. That's exactly what you're supposed to do. You can go down on your legs, like whatever you need to do. But it's, as you're tapping, it's like you're waking up, you're sparking in within your body this connection to whatever it is that you're saying. So if you're saying, I am worthy, I am capable, I am worthy, I am capable. Like you're just like repeating those and feeling it, like the most important thing that you're feeling, but then you're also connecting, like doing this with your body and really feeling your body. You can close your eyes and just really get into it. Then you're going to also now start to program your nervous system to follow along with that experience. So now you're not just thinking of it on a mind level, you're also experiencing it much deeper within you. And the more that you do that and you integrate it in that way, then you're more likely to make the decisions that align with that. And you're more likely to follow through with the actions and follow through with the habits and all those things. Okay. So that's why that is like such a key connection, because we want to give ourselves all of the opportunities to win and to show up, like again, we're still human. We'll make mistakes. We'll have days where we're like, forget it. And then the next day we're like, oh, I should have done it. Like, have you ever had that experience where you're just like, I know that I should do it, but I don't really feel like it. And like your mind wins. Your ego's like, yeah, we won this time. And then the next day you're like, I should have done it. And you kind of beat yourself up about it after, that feeling. It's okay if that happens, but we want to try to avoid that as much as we can. And so doing this work that I shared with you is going to support you with that process. Okay. Okay, let me see what you guys are saying before we move on to the second thing that I want to share for you all to implement. Okay. Let me see. Where did we leave off? Okay. Oh, Violet Rain. Okay. I was like, Violet Train? I don't know. Okay, thanks for clarifying. Okay. Um okay. Okay, cool. You're aware, not try to consume things that are not higher energies. Okay, cool. Yes, Erica. Erica, right? The one that's Bay Familia. I think it's Erica. Um, I love that you guys are supporting each other in the comments. I love it, Hugo. Yes. Okay. Okay, good. This is awesome. Kiana, yes. I love that so much. I have felt a lot of growth and clarity this week. Yay, Dean. I'm so happy. All right. Let me see. Rebecca saying my message on yesterday's session from my angels was stay connected. Will creating a habit of more space help? I struggle to connect so easily as I get the feeling of so many action steps. Yeah, I totally hear you. And definitely, yes, more space. And I love that you brought that up, Rebecca, because I do feel like, and especially, I think that this is just dependent on certain energy types, certain just like people just resonate with this, but that creation of space, I know that for me personally, when I have space, and I'm hoping that you're thinking of it in the same way as what I'm about to explain, but it's kind of like this creating of space where I can just do nothing, where I can just like just be and just kind of like think or be in my imagination or just kind of have a spaciousness type of feeling, not this like rigid like back to back activities all the time, like whether it's work related or not, but just like all this thing, but have a spaciousness, and it allows me to have yeah, that's the type of space. Okay, yeah, then it does allow more creativity to flow, and it allows you to be more in tune as well. That's one of the biggest things that I found also for myself, is that when I am constantly always busy, 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 then I almost like lose focus or lose sight of the centeredness with my own self. And so when I have space, then I can be with my own self again. You know what I mean? And kind of connect back to that. And that makes me feel much more grounded and much more connected. And then I can show up and like be busy and do things, but it's like that spaciousness is my recharge, you know? Um, let's see here. It also might have to do with my shamanic journey. I don't know because when I try to inquire about it, the interference starts. Yeah. I feel like also one of the biggest things that I want to share with you, Violet, is that whenever there's like, yeah, interference or this chaos or just kind of like all of this energy, that what I also find to be helpful is to just go directly to source, like whatever that connection is for you, whether it's God or source or the divine or whatever else, like just like that direct connection. Like if I ever feel yeah, like misaligned or just misguided or whatever the thing is, I'm just like, "Okay, God, like just you and me, God, like we're talking right now," you know? And I just like forget about everything else and that's where I focus my attention. So whatever that is for you, but that would be something else to think about. Okay. It was not commanding thought. It's understanding that I am bigger than it. Light is always bigger than. Yes, I love that, Katya. So good. Um, okay. This month has been huge for inner child healing. Yes. Um, oh, awesome, Rebecca. I love it. Which angel would you associate with the color red? For me personally, that's always I feel Archangel Samuel coming forward in red. Yes, Hugo. Yes, I always connect to source. Okay, cool. Okay, good. Um, okay, let's move on here. Let's continue with number 2. Things to implement. So that was the first part to implement. And then the second part to implement is community. And specifically within community is creating a safe environment where you can be seen. So we kind of touched on this already before. Like we talked about the online space and being able to make online friends and having a community to connect with people who understand because like we said, for a lot of us, there's not really that many people in real life that we, see every day that understand this stuff to this level or that we can feel safe in fully talking or expressing. So finding a community or, different communities, people that you can talk to and connect with to have a safe environment. And the biggest thing that I've witnessed personally, both for myself, but also personally for myself in my growth, but also in the space that I hold for other people to grow in, is this idea of being seen for who you truly are. And it's something about when we feel like we are in a space where I can fully be seen and I can fully be myself and I can ask the questions and say the things and know that I'm not going to be judged and also know that people are going to see me, then there's this massive growth that happens. Like for me, that's where the biggest kind of like we were talking about earlier from the seed to the plant, like that's where the stem shoots up and that's where the leaves start to grow and that's where things really start to happen. And I do believe that this is one of the core wounds that we do experience, all of us. And someone just mentioned about inner child healing, and I do believe that on some level many of our inner children have gone through experiences where they were not seen and they were not fully witnessed in who they are. And so now we're in this space of like wanting to step out into our authenticity and wanting to be our true selves. And we're like in this dilemma of like, this is what I want to do, but it feels really hard because I'm afraid of being seen. I'm afraid of being judged, but I want to be seen, we're kind of in this like tug and pull of I want to be seen and I want to be heard, but also it feels really scary to do it. And I don't know if I can be that vulnerable. And so when we can find a safe environment and space where we can practice expressing our truth and we can practice sharing who we truly are. And again, being in our full light, being in that full expression, then it becomes much easier to then bring that forward in other places and other environments. in other situations. Because, and the reason why is because as you start to experience that level of authenticity and being seen and expression of your true self within whatever particular environment, what you start to recognize is that, oh, this feels really good. And you start to become empowered in it. And you start to realize, like, whatever I was holding back before, it's not worth this feeling of being fully connected to my true self. And that's also where courage starts to develop, to be able to show up in that way on a more public level, so to speak, with other people or in other situations or environments. And this is also where you start to develop confidence in your skills. Because when you're confident in your skills or in your connection, confident in what is happening and what your experiences are, then that just increases the confidence in who you are, confidence in what you're being called into. And then you start to trust that more. And then you take even more steps. And it's like this cyclical thing where it builds upon one another. So one of the biggest things, obviously, of course, you guys are here, and this is a community here in and of itself. So this is an amazing space. I'm so glad that you found your way to my channel in some shape or form. So you know that I'm holding this space in this community for you all to be able to grow, to be able to know yourself, to be able to express yourself. I do also have a free community. It's called the Divine Pathfinders Community. It is not on social media. It's on a platform called Mighty Networks. A lot of you are already there, but some of you may not be there. So if you want to join, all you have to do is go to my website, and under free resources, you just have to kind of go down the list and you'll see the Divine Pathfinders Community, and you can come join in there. And, obviously it's off of social media, so you do have to like create an account and all that, but it's really nice because it's not on social media. Sometimes I feel like social media is just so loud and overwhelming. But that's a space where you can come in. And obviously there's so many amazing people doing incredible work out there. So I'm sure you have other communities where you're connecting with people, where you're learning from other people, where you are finding that connection with people who are on a similar path and where you can be seen in that. Now, on a more private or intimate level, when it comes to having a safe space like that, of course, the Healer program is a space where you can come in specifically when it comes to developing your skills and walking the path of healer. It's very focused in on that. This bigger community that I have, it's much more broad, of course, and it's not as specific. But when you step into the Healer program, that's where the environment really starts to hone in on that particular path. And one of the things that I always use to describe the program is it's kind of going from a caterpillar to a butterfly, where the Healer program represents the cocoon, where the caterpillar enters into the cocoon, spends some time in there, transforming, growing, all of the things, and then it emerges out as a butterfly, like completely different form. And you can kind of think of it that way, as like right now you're here in the space, some truths about yourself, where you want to go, you have an idea, you have this like feeling that's pulling you in a certain direction. You step into the Healer program. It's 4 months long. Take that time to transform, be in the cocoon, be in a supportive environment that sees you, that witnesses you, where you can practice expressing yourself and your truth, practice discoveries and all those kinds of things. And then you emerge out as the butterfly, and you have your wings and you fly and you go off and do your thing, and that's how I like to see the Healer program. And so one of the things for me when it comes to the Healer program, it is a private space, and it is a space where, for me as the facilitator, one of my key roles that I am so committed to is to see you, is for you to feel seen and to feel witnessed, to know that you're heard, and of course to support you and to bring you feedback and to bring you guidance and all of those things. But those things can't really happen unless you're seen. So that's the key thing there. But then on top of that, you also have other people who are walking alongside the journey with you and can also see you, also support you, and you're being witnessed. And in that, the biggest transformation happens. So all that to say, as we start to come to the end of this workshop, which has been so amazing, by the way. If you have any questions about what we've talked about so far or with where you're at right now, please feel free to post that in the chat. Post it in the comments below if you're watching me on the replay. But, after going through these 3 days, if you're feeling that next step is like, okay, time to step into the cocoon, time to go through this very deep transformation, time to really master your skills, master your craft, understand who you truly are as a healer, relating to the archetypes, relating to your soul, relating to your purpose, then the healer program is an incredible next step. And if it's something that you feel called to kind of take that next leap, that journey alongside me, I would be so honored and so excited to have you there. And just as a reminder, the doors are closing in a week from now. So November 22nd is the last day. The doors are closing. And then the first module is dropping on November 26th. So we are almost there. I actually just sent out an email this morning to everyone who's already joined so far. And I've officially opened up the course platform. It is there for you to step into, and a lot of exciting things that are coming. There's another special announcement that I haven't even shared yet with the students so far. So that's still coming. It'll, I don't know when, maybe next week or the week after. But regardless of that, I'm so excited for this. When you join, there's also really special bonuses that you get to receive. One is your personalized angelic healing blueprint. So essentially what this is you submit a form. There's a whole bunch of questions that I ask you to just get to know you better and to understand you and your journey. And what I'm going to do is create a personalized healing blueprint to go alongside everything that you are going to learn, that you're going to experience inside of the healer program. This is kind of like your guide, every step of the way to help you to understand more specifically the angels that are coming in to support you, help you to understand where to put your focus when it comes to doing this work. And of course, because we have our live calls and sessions, we can then go even deeper with regards to your blueprint, with regards to what you're practicing, with regards to what's coming up for you. And that's an important part of this, is that I want you to know that I'm there to walk with you every step of the way. And even if you're not able to make the live calls because of time zone or whatever, I always give you the opportunity to submit your questions. So I do try to schedule the calls on different times, different days, just to give variety and give people a chance to join. But there's always the space to still receive feedback by providing what's coming up for you in that moment. And in my last cohort that I just ended in October, there was one woman in there who actually, because of her schedule, wasn't able to make any of the live calls. But every single time we had a call, she would always submit, this is what's coming up for me. These are my questions. This is what I'm practicing, blah, blah, blah. And then it's even though she didn't go on the calls, I feel like I knew her. It's we did still talk because she was committed and focused on that. So, it's one of those reciprocal things. If you're going to show up and you're going to ask those questions and dig deep, I'm right there with you. I'm going to meet you where you're at. I'm going to show up for you, provide you with what you need. And I make sure to have that space so that time is not a barrier. I know that we're human and we're bound by time, but when it comes to this program, I make sure that time is not a barrier. So, so regardless of what your schedule is like or time zone or whatever, you are going to be seen and you're going to be supported throughout this process. But the other bonus that you're also going to receive when you sign up is the Angelic Healing Toolkit, which, oh my gosh, I can't wait to send these out. I'm still waiting on a couple things to come in. There's a whole bunch of surprises in there, but essentially the core thing that I will mention is that you're going to get a free Archangel Oracle card deck. You're going to receive a special journal, which I will show you guys. That's one of the things that I'm waiting to come in. And then you're also going to receive crystals and a couple other surprises in your package. So you're going to receive something in the mail too to get you started and kick off this experience. So all that to say, if you felt the call, if you know that this is for you, I'm going to leave the link for it in the chat. It's also going to be in the description below this video. Go check out all the details. If you have any questions at all, you can always reach out to me, message me on Instagram, send me an email via the contact form. Let me know whatever questions you have, and I'm happy to talk to you and let you know if this is the right next step for you. But regardless of whether or not you join the Healer program, I sincerely hope that this workshop has supported you in being able to take the next step, whatever that next step is for you, to be able to see yourself on a deeper level, to be able to feel more empowered in what your calling is asking you to step into, and to maybe feel a little bit more brave in doing so as well, and to know that you're not the only one. There's lots of people here who have joined in, who have commented, who have shared, which I really appreciate all of you for being here and sharing your heart, sharing your light with everyone, talking to each other and helping each other in the comments too when I didn't get a chance as I was teaching. But regardless, this is amazing. This is why I love this community, and this is why I love the Healer program. So, you guys are all amazing. Let me see. Yeah, let me see what you guys are saying here. Yes, that is it. This is it. That is it. The good. It's changing. We are the change. Yes. Hugo saying, I'm so excited with the butterfly example. I use it at the beginning of the week to help someone else. Yes, I love it. I love it. Earlier this year, I had a crystal clear vision of myself as a big red seed. I love what you said about the seed and the flower. It resonates a lot. Oh, I'm so glad, Maxine. I love it. I love it. Yay, Candy, you're so welcome. And I'm so excited to have you in the program. So amazing. Yay. Thank you all so much. Thank you, Faye. Monkey, Rebecca, Violet, you are so welcome, everyone. This was so amazing. I had so much fun teaching this with you all and connecting with you in the chat, all of the things. So, a couple of reminders is number one, you are going to receive an email later today with all of the replay links. But if you don't want to wait that long, then you can always just go to my channel and you should be able to see the most recent videos and catch up on any replays if you need to catch up. I will also be sending you the free guided meditation that we did for day 2. So stay tuned for that. Otherwise, I think that's it. I think that is it. I think we are complete. Oh my gosh, this was so much fun. Erica, I'm so glad. I'm so glad. You're so, so welcome, everyone. I'm sending you so much love. You guys are all amazing. This was so much fun. Yay! All right. Enjoy the rest of your day, your weekend, all of the good stuff. I'm sending you so much love and so many angel blessings, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.